The truth has surfaced, and it is more terrible and terrible than we could have ever guessed. There has been constant speculation over Chrisean Jr.'s origins. But Jaguar Wright's recent revelation will disprove everything you thought was true. Chrisean Jr.'s biological father is Blueface, not Chrisean's ex-girlfriend Ronnie, as Jaguar surprisingly disclosed. For years, this intricate tale, which includes accusations, paternity tests, and a poisonous love triangle, has been playing out on social media. But now that Jaguar has finally pulled back the curtain, the terrible truth of Chrisean's PR charade is revealed. She exploited Ronnie's name to hide Blueface's involvement, and she used the world as a puppet to get what she wanted. But in practice, the situation is far worse. Chrisean Jr. is an innocent child caught in the midst of his parents' ongoing argument. How much longer is this young man able to handle the psychological effects of this circus? As these two adults attack one another for attention, the child who never wanted to be born into this mess bears the brunt of it. Because Blueface's and Chrisean fates are so uncertain, it is unclear who will be in charge of their sons. Will Blueface take on a paternal role, or will his child continue playing games when he is left in the middle of the storm? This is not just a paternity problem. The story of abuse, deceit, and the real victims of notoriety is terrible. Prepare for the truth. A realization like this will upset you and cause you to question everything. Keep an eye out, since the story is just getting started. Now's the time that no one saw coming. All of our assumptions about Chrisean Jr. and his parents are crushed by this awful reality. With the goal of exposing the truth that has been held hidden for far too long, Jaguar Wright has stepped out. Jaguar Wright reveals something unexpected and devastating that many people were scared to hear. The biological father of Chrisean Jr. is Blueface, not Ronnie. Notwithstanding what we were told, the truth of this perverted tale is more painful than we could have ever guessed. The public has been watching Chrisean and Ronnie for years as they pretend to be the perfect family for the cameras while concealing the truth about Chrisean Jr. paternity. This myth is being debunked by Jaguar Wright, who is revealing the shocking fact that Blueface has always been Chrisean Jr.'s biological father. By using Ronnie's name to distance herself from Blueface, Chrisean constructed a smokescreen of a story in an effort to get notoriety. She did this to maintain her public profile and hide the child's real father. Jaguar Wright is the one who has demolished that delusion. There will be no more falsehoods or cover-ups. Now that the truth is out, it's darker than we ever imagined. But this sorrow isn't limited to the deceit. The helpless child who never asked for any of this finds themselves enmeshed in the commotion. Chrisean Jr. has to deal with the fallout from his parents' argument, in addition to being a victim of a game he didn't choose to participate in. For what length of time can this little child bear the psychological toll of his parents' vicious, attention-seeking argument? In a dispute that neither parent is willing to accept, all of his innocence and youth are being lost. All of us are familiar with the clips. Chrisean struggles to balance her busy personal life with the demands of parenthood existence. The fire is being fanned by Blueface's constant posting of mysterious comments and his disassociation from the child he fathered. Instead of taking ownership of the life they created, both parents have shown a stronger desire to keep their names in the headlines. Oh, guys, it is devastating. Furthermore, the paternity of Chrisean and Jr. being revealed only serves to exacerbate this tragedy. However, here's the real twist. No one in the world knew the full tale. Jaguar Wright claims that in her pursuit of fame, Chrisean used her son as a pawn. The victim of a public show that never truly included him is this baby, this innocent young man. The accusations that Chrisean would have used her child to gain attention in order to stay relevant are shocking and abhorrent. However, in a world of manufactured smiles, stage drama, and celebrity manipulation, it can be challenging to discern what is real. At this point, everyone is curious to see how Blueface would respond to publicly disclosing the truth about his son. Will he assume leadership and responsibility, or will he run away from the truth and continue to play the same game he's been playing all along? More significant than who is the father is who will take the initiative and be the parent. Public's opinion of Blueface has already begun to decline. No one appears to be able to remove the blemish on his reputation caused by his legal troubles, unpredictable actions, and frequent changes in duties. With his paternity now publicly known, will he be able to get over the drama and be the father his son so urgently needs? Or is he going to remain the distant figure, another victim of a toxic Hollywood production? Chrisean is feeling more and more pressure. She has already been under fire for her reckless behavior, public outbursts, and this startling revelation of her son's father's true name. Now that her motherhood is being questioned, everyone is observing and waiting to see what she will do. It is far more vital that her son, Chrisean Jr., be the one who suffers the most from the fallout. He's stuck in the middle of this circus and can't escape the chaos surrounding him. Moreover, it seems that neither parent possesses the child's health as their top concern. By making public comments that further remove him from his son and tweeting about DNA testing, Blueface has been mocking the problem. In addition, Chrisean has not fulfilled her role as a mother by giving her child the stability they so desperately need. Because she has been so consumed with public drama, she has failed to realize the emotional toll it is taking on her kid. These days, Chrisean Jr. is a system that is broken. A system that prioritizes fame and attention over the protection of an innocent life. This isn't even a custody dispute, which makes it even more awful. It tells the story of abuse, neglect, and a child who desperately needs love, safety, and stability. The extent of the emotional devastation this child will endure is still unknown. In addition to his uncertain future, his safety and well-being are in danger. Chrisean Jr. remains the quiet victim while his parents play the dangerous game of public spectacle. His future is at risk of being ruined before it even begins, and the drama only intensifies. The innocent child at the center of the story, Chrisean Jr. Storm has evolved beyond simply symbolizing his parents' tumultuous life. His future is at risk, and he is the victim as the entire world watches. The biological father of Chrisean Jr. was ultimately determined to be Blueface by Jaguar, right? The emotional impact is what really destroys, even when the entire globe is in shock. It is one thing for two well-known individuals to clash, but it is another to have a helpless child stuck in the middle. This issue is more complicated than a straightforward scandal. This tragic story will leave you devastated. Chrisean Jr. endures silent suffering while Chrisean and Blueface publicly reject their parenting roles. He did not desire any of this. He didn't want to be born into a world where his mother and father vie for his attention, where his paternity is questioned, and where the media manipulates him. But he's caught in the crossfire. His future and his life are uncertain. Daily, the world observes, and Chrisean Jr. is the one who the weight of the turmoil is felt. He is the one who will grow up with the emotional wounds caused by his parents' decisions. This life was not something he asked for, and he certainly did not deserve to be entangled in the web of Blueface's and Chrisean's toxic connection. But it is too late. The damage is done already. Public outbursts, Instagram tirades, and frequent public clashes have all been witnessed by the globe. Blueface has been absent for a significant amount of his son's early years because of his enigmatic tweets and emotional distance. Will he, however, take accountability now that the truth is known? Or will he continue to play the same games that put them in this situation, concealing himself behind his reputation and letting his son suffer? How about Chrisean as well? She's been trying to manage being a mother and being in the spotlight, but she hasn't realized how damaging it is. Because of her desire for fame and attention, her child's emotional well-being has suffered. She frequently shows us that her primary concern is staying up to date rather than actually having a mother. She allowed her child to participate in her public drama, and now they are coming back to haunt her. It's clear that Christ and JRB have experienced emotional distress. The persistent paternity dispute, his mother's frequent social media outbursts, and his father's emotional absence have created an environment of chaos and neglect. This world cannot support a child. His destiny in this world is to live under the shadow of his parents' sins. Just think of the mental pain Chrisean Jr. must endure. He's grown up enough to understand that something is wrong. He sees the never-ending drama, the constant battles, the paternity testing, and the public accusations. He sees his parents competing for his attention, but he doesn't understand why he is left to pick up the pieces. His youth has already been stolen from him. He will be impacted by this toxic environment for the remainder of his life. Furthermore, Blueface and Chrisean's son must contend with public perception while what part he plays in this, I wonder? Will he ever feel safe and loved as he deserves? Or would a culture that values theatrics over the lives of a helpless infant continue to forget him? When the paternity truth comes to light, the damage is irreversible. We've all seen Blueface's haughty replies, his carelessness in neglecting his responsibilities, and his constant attempt to control the content. Can he continue to neglect his obligation to his son, though, now that everyone knows the truth? Can he ignore the child who needs him the most and continue to hide behind his notoriety? Chrisean is next. Her function as a mother has been questioned, and she is not getting along with the world. She has long been criticized for her actions. Now that this information is available, however, the focus is primarily on her failures as a parent. She is not the victim anymore. She is the one who is hurting her own son. The media is now exposing her, which is a horrible truth to confront. Still, the truth is that none of this matters to Chrisean Jr. He is unconcerned by the drama. He does not care about the charges. He is completely unconcerned about viral tweets or Instagram photos. The two individuals who should have been his closest allies have failed to provide him with the security, stability, and affection he seeks. It is this that is the real tragedy, while the rest of the world anxiously awaits another scandal or shocking revelation. Chrisean Jr. is left behind, forgotten, and neglected as a result of his parents' choices. We also have a last question now that the paternity has been made public. Who will support him when the cameras stop rolling? The real victim of this tragedy is Chrisean Jr., who must live with the fallout from his parents' decisions motivated by their desire for fame. How long will the world continue to watch this child suffer? That remains the question. Will there be someone to protect him? Or will this calamity happen in front of us without anyone ready to put an end to the pain? The world-enthralling drama is almost at its most painful point. When the shocking paternity of Chrisean Jr. is discovered, the tragedy is made even more terrible. The future of Chrisean JRB has never been more uncertain because both Chrisean and Blueface could go to jail for years. Now at the center of a horrible emotional dilemma is this defenseless child who should have stood for joy and optimism. There was danger to his life. We have witnessed the blatant arguments, insults, and exploitation of their kid as a pawn in the never-ending battle for fame and attention between Chrisean Jr. Blueface and Chrisean's parents. But now that the paternity of Chrisean Jr. has been revealed, the narrative has taken a darker turn. Legal problems may cause both parents to spend years apart from their son. Blueface, who might now spend up to 4 years in prison, has not been a good father. His legal troubles have finally caught up with him, and his previous actions are definitely finally coming back to haunt him. Since the robbery accusations in Las Vegas and his most recent probation infractions, Blueface has been living on borrowed time. His son desperately needs stability because his world is now falling apart. When a dad has previously demonstrated such a lack of emotional support, how can he suddenly step in when his son most needs him? On the other hand, Chrisean may spend up to 8 years behind bars because of substance misuse charges. She has had a turbulent, dramatic, and mistake-filled life. However, none of those mistakes are as serious as the one she made by bringing her child into this public circus. The experiences Chrisean Jr. has already had should never be required of a youngster. The question is, who will help him now that both of his parents are facing lengthy prison sentences? Both parents have failed to provide Chrisean Jr. with the love, security, and emotional support she needs. Chrisean's pursuit of fame has consumed him, and Blueface has been too consumed by his own drama to care about the son he serves. Therefore, Chrisean Jr. now has to navigate a world full of incomprehension, contempt, in addition to heartache. No child should be forced to grow up this way. But then things get worse. As if the pain couldn't get much worse, the emotional toll on Chrisean Jr. is now more evident than before. The fact that both Chrisean and Blueface are incarcerated for extended periods of time makes it clear that their son's future is slipping away from them. The emotional devastation to Chrisean Jr. is worsening every day. Every moment he is drawn into his parents' conflict, and every moment he spends in this toxic environment weakens his spirit. Who will be the one to do it? Who will protect this child from the psychological damage that is already starting to set in? Though the court of public opinion has been fast to render a verdict, the reality is far more dismal. Despite having endured the most suffering, nobody seems to care enough to step in and provide Chrisean Jr. the assistance he requires. It should have been the Child Protective Services long ago. Nevertheless, they have not spoken for whatever reason. So Chrisean Jr. are in pain while his parents continue to fight for media publicity and attention. As the entire world watches, nobody steps up to help. This is a tragedy because, even if authorities intervene, the situation won't be resolved easily. Foster care is a far from perfect system. Furthermore, the idea that Cry and JRB are a part of that system is incredibly upsetting. He's already had his childhood taken. Even if his parents are no longer with him, the pain doesn't stop there. To stop the cycle of mental harm they have inflicted on their child, Chrisean and Blueface have done nothing. Because of their egos and selfishness, they are unaware of what Chrisean Jr. really need. They both profess to love the same child, who has endured every tantrum in public, cryptic tweet, and emotional blackmail. Now that both parents could be going to jail, the emotional toll is greater than ever. When his parents are released from prison, Chrisean Jr. might not even recognize them if they are given the chance to make amends. And even if they do, the scars they have left on their son will never fully heal. This emotional train wreckage only getting worse. As Chrisean and Blueface publicly destroyed each other, the entire world watched. But in the end, this awful story only really affects Chrisean Jr. himself. This is not a life he asked for. Being the center of his parents' chaos was not something he sought. The pieces of a world that has broken him, however, must now be picked up. Will someone come to his rescue before it's too late? Will JRB and Chrisean ever have the stability, love, and attention they deserve? Alternatively, will he remain a victim of this never-ending media circus? His mental well-being has been negatively impacted by the strife that has dominated his parents' lives. This is more than just a scandalous celebrity story. It's a story revolves around a child's misery. The actual tragedy is that Chrisean Jr. may never be able to escape it, unless someone, anybody, steps in to save him. There isn't another celebrity scandal here. It is tragic. The child's, it's the future. Additionally, Chrisean Jr.'s split has been made public by his parents, Chrisean and Blueface, who have publicly trashed each other, played